Good evening and welcome to Lewy Talk. This is the program on GISL Channel 4, Our Talk on Our TV, and this evening we're talking to some masters of the game. My name is Mark Anthony, and I do hope that you had a wonderful Easter, restful. If you are here with us in Trinidad, maybe you're in Tobago, good evening to you. Wherever you are in the world enjoying this wonderful program, good evening to you. And we do hope that you're going to enjoy the next hour as we continue right here on Channel 4. But before we begin this evening's program, I'd like to share with you the ways that you can reach us on this wonderful program. You can contact us at www.facebook.com/OurTV4 and gisl.tt/TV-4. Also, you can follow us on Twitter at OurTV, #LewyTalk. Our phone numbers, ladies and gentlemen, where you can reach us, you can call us this evening to be part of the discussion, 675-8747 and 675-8749. Welcome to Lewy Talk. This evening is going to be a very, very interesting program. And I have with me, as I said, masters of the game. These gentlemen are pioneers. They are legends. And we had an opportunity before the program when we were in the green room to chat and get to know each other a lot better. And I'd like to introduce with us this evening Mr. Nestor Sullivan, the manager of Panbury Steel Orchestra, to my left. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Also,
to the viewers.
Thank you very much. Southbourne, and of course, Pan Mante's heart. Ladies and gentlemen, Ken Professor Fillmore, arranger, panist, of course.
Yes,
good evening. Good evening, Fillmore. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And also, son of the legend Jit Samaru, Mr. Amrit Samaru, arranger and panist. Good evening and welcome to the program.
Good evening. Nice to be here.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. There's so many things and so many developments. And this evening we want to talk and we want to discuss. We don't want a hard and fast interview. We want to just chat about different things. So many persons, as we describe as pioneers, icons, who have paved the way for some of the younger players today, for some of the younger arrangers today. We have lost some along the way. Pat Bishop. When we talk about Pat Bishop, we talk about pure genius. Are we able to carry the torch? And I say this as no disrespect to either of you, but how are we going when we're looking at the future of Pan?
I think Trinidad and Tobago, let's start off by understanding what we have created. If we look at the conventional orchestra and the instrumentation therein, that is to say, the violin, the viola, the violoncello, double bass, that's the string section, then you have the horn section, the saxophone, the trumpet, and so on, and the trombone, what have you. And the other things that make up the conventional orchestra. If you check the origins of these instruments, the violin is credited with Italy, the guitar, all is Europe, but different parts of Europe. The guitar is Spain, the piano, I think Franz Schubert, he is German, and it have all the different things. The double bass is some part of Europe, but it wasn't a single country, and it was a collaborative effort for them to arrive at the present-day conventional orchestra. What a population of 1.3 million people have created is its own orchestra, from soprano to bass, out of discarded drums. Now this is, and we could line up our orchestra alongside any conventional orchestra and produce whatever music they could produce. This is what Trinidad has created. So that is where we are with the steel band. We have presented to the world a family of instruments. You don't get that every Sunday morning. That is something that is very special. The difficulty I have is that I think it's a legacy of colonialism, where we don't have the self-belief to present this thing to the world as it ought to be. I suppose when we get into this discussion, we will see that. But from a cursory glance at things, we're in about 60 countries. The United Nations has a membership of 193. The FIFA has 209 members. So we're coming up short by about 100 and odd countries. We're talking here millions and millions of people are not exposed to steel band. I think the future has to do with that. We enter these countries spontaneously because of trade patterns, immigration patterns. For example, let's take an example. Where do we find steel band in any part of the world? In the diaspora. Toronto in Canada, well, all of Canada, all of the US, all of England, Western Europe, the Caribbean. What about Latin America? We don't look in that direction. I don't know what trade we have with Latin America. It's not no big amount, but I know in terms of immigration patterns, Trinidadians and West Indians generally, we don't look to Latin America. Between Mexico and Argentina in the south, we have 800 million people. 600 million of them talking Spanish and 200 million talking Portuguese in Brazil. There might be about 10 steel band in that whole thing.
Because, if I may, touring there with the National Seal Symphony Orchestra back in 2010 or something like that. We went to Costa Rica and Panama. And the response, I mean, Pro was talking about it earlier, the response we get after we performed was out of this world. And these people hungry for this thing.
Of course.
So I don't know if it's because to me, I sorry I didn't pay more attention in the Spanish class when I had a chance. Because, you know, I was studying tune and writing song and thing when the teacher.
And you do Spanish.
And that's it. I studying a parang tune and she talking.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's such a huge market, and been to Brazil as well. Same thing. All these people, and the thing is, we music so close to theirs.
Exactly.
So the feeling there, the vibe there.
It's natural.
And when you play, oh gosh, the outers will, because they watching this instrument like it is. This is an oil drum to them. But when we put on it, and leave them, they're speechless. You know.
I just always talk about the before and the after story, and I had to agree with you both. It's our brand. We have to treat the instrument as a brand, just like how people that sell Power Mint,
Yes.
Kentucky, all these kind of things. We need to sell the instrument as a brand. We all travel and see the responses from people. And when I talk about the before and the after story, nobody here know you before. They didn't care. When they see the instrument, they double care according to the, to that skit. Play now. But I just experience this a lot. The before, nobody had taken you on. And when you perform, it's a whole different world. Everybody want to be a friend. They want to take you home, meet their family. They want your number. They want you to play in the wedding. So when I see the riches of the instrument, as we were saying just now, it is a great, we don't know what we have. And my honest opinion, we're losing it. Or for me, I think it probably already gone. Steel bands don't travel as much as again. Well, I know Panbury did a lot of touring. But they don't need steel bands to travel again when they have their own programs out there, they have their own pan tuners out there, they have their own players that are professional people. So even getting concerts, they call them their own. So we messed up by not selling the brand properly to the world. Things like the pan stick, the old pioneers, great men, T-shirts, badges. Marketing is the key to a successful business.
We didn't go into that at all.
And we fell very, very short because it can't be just Panorama alone to wake up the island, both TNT, and when Panorama done the week after Panorama, now nobody know who in their care. Pan men suffer and be broken. But this is a great brand.
And you're not talking about that at the same point in time. You talked about before and after. We could also compare to, well, from then to now. Why are we still saying the same things at this point in time? Why hasn't it changed somewhere along the way?
Because the political will isn't there. We don't have the political will. I was just discussing, with all due respect, I went to St. Mary's. I come from a humble beginning. You know, I come from a humble beginning. And to my belief is that I believe when scholars or educated people in this country academically, they go to these schools and then they go on to college, they forget. They forget where they come from. And then probably some of them would come back home and go into politics and forget. Right. The pan culture is a great culture that I remember I was even telling you a while ago, we're selfish. A lot of Trinidadians, 90% of Trinidadians and Tobagonians don't know the panyard life and how to live the panyard life, which is a great culture. No killing, no murders. It's music. Is an institution of music. That jealous lady, I call her music. And we missed many, many things that the States and Europe and so on taken up. and their programs are working out fantastic. A lot of people in Europe and America could go ahead, go to school, get a degree, and work as a performer or a teacher, etc., etc. We hardly have that here.
You know, I was watching, I think it was National Geographic, I mentioned this earlier on, and they were talking about taking things to the moon, man being able to sustain himself on the moon. And they mentioned the music, well, no credit to Trinidad and Tobago, was the oil drum, which they showed two Caucasians playing a steel drum, steel pan. How does that make you feel, you know, to hear something like this?
Well, to me, to tell you the truth, is a global village today. All right? Yes, we have given the world this. I mean, this is my opinion, this is my spin on it. But they have a lot of talent out there. And, I mean, because we make it, that don't mean we are keep it right here. The trick is, as Pro was saying, is to go with it. You know, and send ambassadors, you have your branding, as Pro was suggesting earlier. I love it when I see a group from, like I saw, we was talking the Latin experience earlier, a group from Mexico playing one of Jit Samaru's pieces, Pan Patterns, one of them, on YouTube. And I was blown away. They had one tenor man, but they're using marimba and xylophone, and that's music created for pan, but out there on other instruments now. So that'll tell you how the thing spin. Before, we used to take the great classics created for violin and piano and all of that, and put it on pan. Now the reverse happening.
They're taking the panorama songs.
And they're doing it on symphony orchestras now. So it good in a way, but as Pro was talking, the branding and this is from our belly, and we should market it more. You know, being Trinidadian and like the Jamaicans and reggae.
Reap some of the rewards. Reap some of the rewards.
I want to add to the discussion too. I think that if you look at it, what we're talking about here is marketing and promoting and things, you know. I was referring just now to a colonial legacy in that we created this thing and we still have a shyness as though we shame to present it to the world. That is nonsense. The truth is, we don't have to present it, they're taking it. So the thing we have to do now, we have to position our country, our people, to benefit from this development. Let me explain what I mean. Look, all right, let me give an example. This whole continent, from the top in Canada down to the bottom, they speak languages that originated in Europe. Canada speak French and English, US Spanish and English, and the rest of them talking Spanish and Portuguese. We in the Caribbean talking the same thing. That's European languages. How they did that? They understood what it is to introduce a culture, to dominate a people, to introduce the methodologies of doing everything to this thing here. So we create this steel band. We have to capture some of that kind of European attitude and present pan to the world. We grew up with instruments, guitar, piano and things. They never make that in Trinidad. We create an instrument now that we had to put down the throat. I'm saying it in a crude way, but what is really needed for me, you have to develop human capital. We have some tuners here. Some of the top tuners, they're getting a little older. So they can start to hear less. The hands go hurt them. They can't produce as when they were younger people. How many young people we training in the area of tuning? Then you mentioned earlier some of the great arrangers, fellas like Earl Rodney and Ray Holman, Jit Samaru and them fellas, Clive Bradley and them. We never use them to help to develop no group of young musicians. In a given year, we have 176 bands, adult bands going panorama. And then we have about 70 school steel bands. So in a given year, we have 200 odd panorama tunes. What program we have in between panoramas to upgrade the skills of these people, the 200 odd people who working in this thing? You know what I mean? We have two universities operating here. I know of one to deliver music programs. They imported musicians from England. I have nothing against England. That's the mother country. But the musicians cannot teach West Indian youths the tradition of our music. The people who made this country great, who made this country, who made the world sit down and listen to us, is his father, Earl Rodney, Ray Holman, fellas like Frankie Francis and Ed Watson, all them fellas and them. Them is the musicians who make this country great, who people us talk about all over the world, you know. I have a friend from West Africa. He tell me he's my age. When he was small, he knows Sparrow and Kitchen LP, you know. The people, Sparrow and Kitchen could sing, but who make the music is Adi Koto and Bert Innes and them cats, you know what I mean? We didn't use these people. We never used them to pass on that information to generation next. We're not using them to train musicians. Pro is not a youth again. Pro has to go outside of Trinidad to pass on his information in an organized way. We have to look at the steel band as industry. If you have oil industry in Trinidad, so it have programs to teach people that to go to school, that to pass this subject, that to do that to study this engineering, that to do that, to work in industry. If we have an industry, what are we doing to develop the human capacity so that we could start to spread it all over God earth?
I totally agree with Lester, because when a lot of people introducing me in a show, I just do shows 1,500, 2,000 people sometimes, you know, I'm working with the Calypsonians and them, wherever, Christmas, wherever. And they introducing me now as one of the best pan players in the world, if not the best. So the MC scene.
Yes.
I ain't putting those words. For me, as a humble, struggling musician. But when you look at football, basketball, table tennis, golf, hockey, everything, the top 2, 3 best in the world is
There's millionaires.
So when people calling me the top 2, 3, man, those are my guy.
Yeah.
You have enough cash.
Because we know the equation of the top 3. You talking about Messi and you know what I'm saying. So when people try to class me as the top 3 and the position I in now, and in a joking form, I say it's a joke. The brand, and he's so right, the lack of teaching ourselves about ourselves. Plenty of people know that, and I just always say that Sparrow is the man that's responsible for tourists coming to Trinidad and Tobago. They gave them 2 million the other day, people quarreling. Sparrow's supposed to get 20 million. Oil-rich country, Trinidad and Tobago. Who does fly the flag of the country? But look at Sienesta, if you know in that way. And of course, Ahmed right, it is good for me to see other steel bands, and it's something that we're really supposed to sell and not be selfish. If we did follow Harry Belafonte, you know where Calypso would have been today. But we didn't, and the Andrew sisters. So yes, but yes, it has also hurt, knowing that this is the mecca of band, and you won't treat it like that. This is a great brand to sell, just like the oil, just like the natural gas, and most important, music could curb crime easily. But we're missing the point again.
No, but then I have countries that are using the steel ban in corrective measures, like in Paris, in France. There are guys who introducing pan in prisons to rehabilitate people. In Antwerp, in Belgium, it's the same thing. They're using the steel ban to rehabilitate social...
This group in St. Thomas, Rising Stars.
Rising Stars,
yes.
We need to take a page out of St. Thomas' book. Judge Vern Hodge.
That
was the man responsible for
and
that.
And he's doing that years now, isn't it?
The program is a corrective program for troubled youths who given trouble home and who on the streets and doing the thing. All right, we taking you in the home, but you have to play pan.
Seriously?
You must play pan.
Yeah.
Because that's your punishment.
So you have to learn, and that's how you learn.
And the amount of things to learn from that: discipline, teamwork. You know,
it have leadership and
values,
self-esteem. When you could just sing and play instruments just like that, when you play that and an audience listen to that and clap you, that is self-esteem, that is psychological benefits, you know. It organizes you socially. You learn to communicate with people. If you had a tune and he didn't have it, you had to show him. That is sharing, all that is positive values. That is what we are talking about in a pan, the sharing. If you come in the yard and you're eating something, a doubles, and a man eats it, you have to give him half. That's how it is. That's your life, you know. You're drinking something, give me some. That's the life.
Teaching at 9 o'clock in the morning, I don't have a problem. You know, we're very academical in this country, and I know that. But listen to me, I have been to many programs. 9 o'clock in the morning, that's when your brain, I don't know, that's when you're learning maths and you know that. but they're teaching pan 9 a.m. in the morning.
And which country is this?
Well, this is in the schools that I went to in Baltimore. This is Old
In the
Mill
US.
High.
And that's right in the U.S. Gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and have some more of this wonderful discussion. You're watching Levy Talk. Welcome back to Levy Talk on TV4, and we have with us Mr. Amrit Samaru, Ken Professor Fillmore, and Mr. Nestor Sullivan. Gentlemen, welcome back. Also, the phone lines are open, so you can call us and let us know maybe question or comment you'd like to add to this evening's program. We're talking this part, let's talk about young people, getting young people involved. We talked about developing the pattern academies, maybe getting the government a little bit more sensitized and the persons in power to come on board and support the initiatives to further the development of PAN, in also maybe getting PANs as part of the curriculum in the schools. You mentioned that some of the schools abroad, they play PAN as part of the curriculum. How do you feel at this point in time? And before we get to that, we have a call on the line. Good evening. Welcome to Levy Talk.
Yes.
Good evening, sir.
Good afternoon, Mark, Nestor, Pro, Amrit.
Yeah.
Good show. I'm just calling to add to what Nestor was addressing just now about the business of the industry of the pan, and the sharing and the automatic things that happen in the pan yard that don't even happen to a place. Nestor was saying that you come in the yard, you have music to learn, it happens, and it happens so automatically. In the workplace, people, you have to do with a strategic plan, and you have to study this, study that. It happens so naturally, and there's so much that we can learn from the operation in the steel band yard itself to translate into the workplace, to make this whole thing a big thing. But it's a business, and we have to approach it in that way. I like the idea of Pro saying, the best footballer in the world and the money making it. So you have to remind my guy, they might say he's the best, But good programs, and I think that the discussion that is happening, I hope it is documented so that, we can learn from this, lessons learned and how we move forward. So again, congratulations, and I continue to listen to look at the beauty program. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your contribution. We have another call on the line. Good evening. Welcome to Levy Talk.
Hello, good day.
Good evening, sir.
Evening. I have two things I'd like to say, and I'll keep it very brief. All right. The first thing, you're saying that the PAN needs to be run like a business, but we don't have the people on top to run it like a business. All right. One or two things I feel should happen. Either to get a businessman to run the PAN, or two, PAN Trinbago needs to get a marketing agency to market the PAN. I don't think the people on top are able, because we have gone so far in PAN now, it's all over the world. And long are the days where you vote for president or vote for executive because they beat for this band and they play for this band, right? And that gone. We need people now, as Professor Fillmore said, with the intellect, not taking anything away from anybody. So that's my feeling. Secondly, this is to Ken, Professor Fillmore. I respect you a lot. Total respect for what you have done, what you are doing for the PAN and so on. But I think what let me down after the panorama results, I think your emotions got to you, and you said some bad things towards Booksy Sharp and Smooth Edwards. All right? I think you owe them an apology. All right?
Well, as I said that, the interview that came out in the papers, everything that was said in that papers wasn't said by me. The interviewer put in their own piece. I would never go against a fellow brethren in the music, a fellow musician or arranger. This caused a little debate and topic. Of course, yes, I was a little disturbed by the results, like any other human being. You know what I mean? I doing this thing since in the early 80s. But again, according to you, I will apologize based on it was not my doing, calling us steel band music, BS music, or so to speak. That was not my doing. But I will still apologize because it didn't go across like that with the interviewer, and I saw that in the papers, and I took the licks for that. knowing that I did not say that. So my humble apologies to Smooth, which I know is a gentleman, to Len Boogsy Sharp, which is a very, very good friend of mine. It wasn't no intent to hurt no steel band or anybody, and I'm glad that came up. That was misinterpreted by the interviewer that called me Carnival Sunday, not knowing that this thing going to make headlines Carnival Monday. You know, I was just disturbed with the results. I was not disturbed with any other band or anything like that. I don't know where that came from. That was their personal thoughts, I believe, in the interview, because I didn't quote anybody.
Yes.
So, apologies given.
We have another call on the line. Good evening. Welcome to Let We Talk. Okay. So, gentlemen, I think we lost that call. So many things. I mean, knowing you and the person that you are, I mean, sometimes things are a little bit jaded and people try to sensationalize stuff. But we'll move on from that. But Nestor spoke about getting young people involved and, you know, maybe the start of the Pan Academy and getting persons. What about the incentives, you know? How are we going to incentivize this? What is the motivation for them? Is it financial? What is it? Because a young person doesn't just want to know that he's going to make a little something carnival time. And before we get to that, we have another call on the line. Good evening. Welcome to Let We Talk. Good evening.
Yes, hello, good night.
Yes, good evening, ma'am.
Yes, good day. I'm just calling there, those two guys and their studio there. Well, I know Professor Fillmore very well, and I want to commend him on the great job that he has done and is still doing, and the other guy on the side there. We can't remember his name very well, but I'm not so sure.
Mr. Sullivan, and we have Amrit Samaru.
So, he, that's nice. I had a son who used to go to St. Dominic's RC, and I think there is where I knew this guy. And I want to tell him that he looked very well.
Thank you very much.
Well, I think he looks good for 35.
Right? And he looked very good. So I must call him. I just switched this station here. And I must call him to say, congratulations, keep up the good work. And whatever you're eating, whatever you're doing, continue to. Okay? Right. This is an old student from St. Dominic's who was there with Miss Beth. He used to be in Miss Beth's class. I remember Mr. Martin, Mr. Chinaba, and all those people from Dominic's RC. Okay? So keep smile, man. You're looking good.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
No, I didn't set up that. I don't know that.
I was listening when you talk about earlier.
Well, I used to teach in that school for years, right here in Mobile, you know. So,
So let's talk about, I mean, incentives.
Well, there's no hope, but I mean, hardly any hope. I'm a self-taught musician, you know, again, I wasn't one of the lucky ones. Had the opportunity to be a part, and as I always say, to be a part of the great Duke Ellington Orchestra. I learned a lot there, traveling with the band, playing straight ahead jazz music. I self-taught. A lot of the kids here not getting the opportunity to be taught. Like, for instance, I just do a number of workshops. Last year with West Virginia till I just came back. These kids just be excited, anticipating to meet you. I bring them down to my level, and I carry them where I want them to go at the end of the week, where the concert is, you know. We do have programs after Carnival here for kids. The continuation of the dream. I'm a dreamer.
But we have a thing called Pan in the Classroom unit, I think, where we introducing steel band, music programs using the steel band instrument. That was started in 2003. That was started in England in 1969, you know, by fellas like Gerard Forsyth and them fellas, Fillmore Davidson, Selwyn Batiste, all them fellas teaching schools in England since 69. They're earning a proper living, teaching pan in schools. I remember when I was an officer in Pan Trimbago in the early 1980s, when we arguing about pan in school and introducing pan in schools, the reference position was, look, they're doing it in England, why we can't do it here? You know what I mean? But we adopted it formally and properly in 2003.
We have another call on the line. Thank you. Good evening. Welcome to Let We Talk.
Hi, good night.
Good evening, sir.
Afternoon. This is congratulations on the program. Very good program.
Thank you very much.
And Mr. Ken, Professor Fillmore.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Amrit.
Yes, sir.
Not leaving out the next gentleman. The first time I've seen him and hearing him, but Nice program.
Mr. Sullivan.
Mr. Professor,
Yes, sir.
I would like you to tell them about your performance in New York with how many panorama you win up there.
Well, you know the competition. You know we all grew up in the competition. I won six panoramas in New York.
Okay, Mr. Professor, this is Lincoln. I win all the panorama with you.
Oh, my brother, how you going?
All right. And this is to Mr. Amrit.
Yes, sir.
This is Lincoln. I have a special place in my heart for you. On the band luncheon, you open for New York Pansters, and you open it with a gospel.
Yeah. It was Ave Maria.
Right.
Ave Maria.
So I enjoyed the program. Nice job, you guys. Keep it up.
Thank you very much, sir.
Cool, man.
Yep.
We were talking about young people and getting them involved and how we could incentivize the process. You wanted to say?
Well, what I noticed is the Lloyd Best theory, not Pan in schools, but schools in Pan. When I started Supernova's Steel Orchestra with the community of Surrey Village, right? The community members got together with myself and my cousin Anthony Samaru, with the assistance of Samaru Jets, all being from the village, in tribute to my father. He always wanted to give back something after Renegades. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to do that. I had that opportunity now, and bringing Supernovas to Surrey Village, and by extension Lupino and Aruka, the kind of transformation we see in the youths, a lot of them, the confidence you would see in the youths, especially when we hit the stage or something, we go panorama or we play in the avenue, because we do a lot of gigs. My thing is, you don't operate a steel band for panorama alone. It wouldn't make sense.
But if I could intervene, the majority of bands in Trinidad are panorama-based bands.
Yeah.
Because they have 100 and how much going panorama. But if I can't say exactly how much, but if you go around during the year, the majority, more than, I feel is about 100 who not practicing. You might get the 76 practicing, but many of them, they don't practice. So exactly what you're saying is what the case
because
is.
The
they don't come out.
I see in the youths and them to come out, a lot of them, home, not really leaving the confines of that community. And we hitting gigs all along Point 14, all over. We had a gig in San Souci, Tobago. We had the first tour last year to Antigua. And these kids, first time they're flying on a plane, and it opened up the eyes.
Yeah, because you see, Amrit, now, marketing is the key to a successful to business.
Right.
What you're doing for your village and your community, you're doing it the right way. Encouragement is there. Learning to play the music, you're getting a lot of work because you're bringing a good brand to the public. If the phone ring for me, no work.
True.
So, it's the brand again, you're going to perform, I'm making sure my pants shining clean, I'm making sure that I'm making no mistake on the stage, I don't make all the mistakes at home. So what I believe happening to you in particular, and what you said it at the other 100 band, you did a lot of tours with Panbury Nesta, so you know the business side of the whole thing. Another thing too, corporate.
Yeah.
Let's talk about corporate. Corporate not hiring steel bands again. For them it may be too costly. Easier to hire a DJ. Or even bands that have bass guitar, because I have a band that does play bass and so on. A lot of hard work to get, you know what I'm saying? Corporate now we're hiring steel band like how we used to play a lot long time for a number of functions. Again, how that happening, again, is like it's a downhill, if you understand what I'm trying to say.
I just want to jump in. We have another call. Just hold on to your thought. Good evening. Welcome to Lowy Talk. Good evening.
Hello?
Good evening, sir. Welcome to the program.
This is Tulu here. I'm glad for the country. What I have to say is that cases that Terence Newell was granted an order of the British Empire by the Queen in her New Year's Day. road golf. And say it is in Trinidad and Tobago, near Pan Tobago, the government that we have made any contributions to Terence Newell. As a pan man out in England for more than how much years, he actually tuned melodians of our Rima with his band, which is melodians in London. And here we see how much things happening in steel band. But Pan Tobago, the government that we have not given him any consideration, but the Queen have presented him with the Order of the British Empire. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
I didn't hear so clearly.
I think we missed
somebody who was awarded by the Queen, but the country didn't pay any mind to.
Yeah,
Great pioneer.
he tuned for Melodians for a short time. He's one of the. He live in England now with he started the BT Melodians and he did a lot of work over there. He was honored by the Queen.
Terry Noel.
Yes,
Yes, he's not the only one, Terry Noel, he got an MBE from the thing there. Also, Sterling Betancourt. He is one of the surviving members at TASPO. Sterling is one of the guys who introduced, together with fellows like Ross Henderson and them, introduced steel band in Britain and onto the continent in Europe, Switzerland. It has stories when Sterling and them tuning pan to call police or kind of thing. You know what I mean? And he got, there's another guy who got that is Brent Holder. Brent is a student, was a student in Success RC School here, and he was a member of Harmonite. He went to England. He started a band, or he got involved in a band called, I can't remember the name, but they're from down by Queen's Park Rangers side in that part of London. And he got an MBE. Then Pepe Francis, who is Trinidad roots too, he is the leader, Ebony, and the head of the British Association of Steel Band. He also got a MBE or whatever it is. But the point is, the British government, I remember somebody gave me a story. When the Soviet Union ended its thing, right? And the countries became independent, all these former Soviet states. I think the British government was going to this country, Uzbekistan, to deal with business and things. What they did, they presented the same melodians, Terry Noel melodians. They play for the Uzbek people. And when the jaw drop and the mouth open and they hear panso, the man with the briefcase coming after, hook, line, and sinker. They're using our invention and they're describing it as British immigrant culture. And they're using it to promote British interests. We don't do that. If we want to break into our country, do we carry steel bands to convince people that we really could deal? We don't do that.
And as we've seen people giving away pan, and they know nothing about it, can't play it. And I find every Trinidadian at least supposed to have a pan in their house.
We mentioned about being able to play the pan. How important is it to be able to read the music?
Well, theory, from a person who didn't grow up on that theory, I came from the other part. I come from the practical side. Theory is mighty important. Many schools and many programs in the States, you're joining that steel band unless if you know theory.
You need to be able to read music.
Because they're reading everything.
If you treat music as a language, when you're born, you learn to talk, right? Correct. And when you get a little older, you learn to read what you're saying, and you learn to write it too. It's the same thing with music. Music is a language. If you stand up in a pan and if Amrit tell him, all right, give me a B flat 7, you know what he mean. But that's because he understands the language.
Because understanding music. Just hold one more time, gentlemen. We have a call on the line. Welcome to Love Talk. Good evening. Welcome.
Yeah, good evening to the panel.
Good evening.
I am amazed that panmen in this country supposed to be making a lot of money. I think foreigners now, we can pan and pulling in and raking in thousands of dollars.
Big money.
The school in this country have tutors for math, English, everything. But they don't have tutors for pan in school. I mean, this is our national instrument. Why we must have the guitar and all them trumpet and all them things in school and they don't have the national instrument in the school? That's amazing. I find this ridiculous. Every school, and they should have a special classroom for about 30 pan for children And every school is supposed to have a pan side, the national instrument. And the government should take up the bill and send the kids to Miami and London and Quebec and all these places to play pan. This is our national instrument. I find it should be done like this, and do let foreigners overtake our instrument. Blessing with us, here.
Thank you very much for your contribution.
To check again on that, now the caller very, very right. You know what I mean? It's not a matter of making the money, but it could be done. This is our brand. This year, this is, look, we make this. You know much for a pair of sticks in the States? You know much for a tenner pan? I'm talking about 5,000 US.
Dollar for dollar?
Dollar for dollar, 5,000, $6,000, a pair of sticks, $30, case. A lot of this stuff that I have that I have started to use too, these people get so good with the casing, the stands. This is no lie. This is a big business for them. I buy these people products because I don't want my pan to be damaged when I pin it under the plane. So I buy in something that, you know what I'm saying, that
durable.
It's a big business. It's a business that could generate me. Listen to me. This discussion we have in here is so important to me and my life. My life is pan. My whole life traveling the world, flying that red, white, and black flag. All I want to see the world is that respect us, respect the instrument. Again, and we're not doing that. We're way behind. I'm not blaming anybody who trying now, you know. We need to make a great national effort. The political will has to be there a lot more. Get this thing into schools. Forget whether if it's a black man, or Indian, or Chinese, wherever. Pan is a great thing. I'm seeing a lot of people worldwide playing our instruments, and if you see the joy, Mark, we need to bring that to our kids. A murderous country, Trinidad, lack of teaching. Ignorance means lack of knowledge. We are teaching our children properly.
I see, for example, the first time a band went to Japan in 1993, I remember there was a guy called Tomohide Suzuki. He was the organizer of the, if you want to call it, a little document, a little newspaper. He used to do a little pamphlet to mobilize the bands in Japan. It had about 7 bands. No, it had about 70. Last year, I had the privilege and honor to be present in the Yokohama Steel Pan Fiesta. That was a festival, they call it Fiesta, a steel band festival, not competition and who come first and who come fifth. Everybody playing, 14 bands, 7 on Saturday, 7 on Sunday. If you hear the repertoire, the quality of instruments, the technical ability of the players, the body language, if you put a screen and you don't know who playing there, you block it off with a screen, you sure it's either Supernovas or Fun or one of them band playing, you know what I mean? I tell you, they have it down cork. I also watch on television, or somebody sent it for me on YouTube thing. There was a steel band festival in Australia. When you hear that, there was a group from Oman, the guards of the Sheikh of Oman, them playing, and they have on the big white Arab kind of gong, and they're playing kitchen music and dancing and things. If you know how that look, if you know how that tastes. Now, we have to see, you know, there's certain countries in the world, as I say at the start, we're in about 50 countries. I feel we have the amount of people here who involved with steel band to train enough people to be able to tune enough instruments and maintain them to supply the world. We could train people. We could train people to teach pan. That's a skill that we have created here in Trinidad.
Suppose
we
China
own that skill.
Yeah, suppose China order 10 million tenors.
We had to take all the pan from all the steel bands in Trinidad, Tobago, and the rest of the Caribbean and send it to China.
You go forward to my business.
Yeah, no, seriously. Look, if you take a place like Asia, the biggest continent in the world, Japan has some pan, yes. Japan population is 130 million. China is 10 times that. Them is how much billion? 1 point something billion. Then you have all them former Central Asia, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, this place, that place, former Soviet thing. These people now become independent. And a friend of mine, or a relative of mine, who is also a good friend of yours, Terence Braffett, is a lecturer in a university in England. He is doing some work on tourism with Russia and Kazakhstan. He is telling me that these people could take pan now because they want things to express the selfhood. And steel band is an ideal instrument for that kind of self-expression then. because they now come out of a kind of dominant culture and they want to say, this is me here. You know? He is saying that, no, there's a whole market. We don't even study that. We don't even study Latin America.
That's
right?
what I say.
Just one more point. Africa. 53 states in Africa, right? Make up the continent of Africa. That's steel band in Nigeria, South Africa, and Ghana, and that whole thing in Botswana. So it have about 49 or 50 countries in Africa. No pan. What are we doing to penetrate into their markets? What are we doing to penetrate into Latin America? Eastern Europe, Southeastern Europe, the Balkans, a country like Sarajevo. Sarajevo famous for classical music and music generally. We have no initiative inside it. Yes, Slovenia, all them places, you know what I mean? We meet some people from Macedonia. We play them a football match when we was on tour. And we beat them bad. You know what I mean? But they like me because when we started to play pan and thing, they started dance and they chip in. But they had the chip so good. But you know what I mean?
Gentlemen, we
Macedonia.
have so much to talk about and so much more in just the little time that we have. But we're going to take a break and come back to a whole lot more right here. You're watching Let We Talk on TV4. Welcome back to Let We Talk, and remember the phone lines are open, ladies and gentlemen. You can call us on 675-8747 and 675-8749. So many things to talk about, so many things to touch on. You know, we were talking about literacy, we were talking about getting the music out there, we were talking about, you know, expanding the reach of the pan and owning the pan. It seems like sometimes the pan, the instrument, is an instrument without a home. And anyone has a claim, they can lay claim to it at any point in time. As icons, as legends, as men who are involved, who have been in the engine room, who have been there, I'm sure it pains you from time to time when you hear and you see these stories, when you look at the news. I mean, it hurts your heart deep down.
I have about 10 albums I did in my lifetime. I don't hear my music on radio.
My band, we do 17 CDs.
17 CDs.
And you don't hear that on the radio in Trinidad.
We're not interested. You see, we had to take a page out of Jamaica again. Patriotism. You want to know what's patriotism? Look at Jamaican people. Don't talk Bob Marley. You know? Don't talk about Nolan Tate neither.
Yes,
you understand what I'm saying? Because you know there's a story behind that.
He's a CB's man from South. He went to Jamaica and he have a role that he played in the development of reggae music. He was a pan player and a guitar player too.
He have
a serious role.
Yes, he lives Canada. But it hurts having these albums. Had to depend on a lot of my living from traveling abroad. It's tough because the political will not there. We're not teaching ourselves about kids. You know, I don't know what to say.
I just blame the colonial legacy. Yeah, because we have to look outside for what is good. We don't look within and see what is good and take that and transport it outside. Because we were now talking here before when we were off camera. We never had a policy, a national policy in this country that took steel band as a serious thing and say we're going to promote it in these countries where it now exists.
And I want you to remember your point before you forget.
Because people go there on their own. Fellas go there looking for a better living.
I don't want you to forget what you were saying. Let's go to the lines. Welcome to Let We Talk. Good evening. Good evening.
Gentlemen, good evening. First of all, I'm from Marlborough. And I want to preface my statement. I'm of East Indian descent, but a follower of pan. If a gentleman sits there with you, Professor Fillmore, a long time I haven't seen my double skirt. Nevertheless, be that as it may, I've been following that career for the longest while. And I think you should hold your head high. If the alleged statement you made is correct or false, I don't care. You are quite right. The music at the Panorama Show left us startled why they didn't win that crown. Be that as it may, we'll have to make up for it next time around. I hope you'll be around, and even better, so the judges will hear you one more time. And I am at a loss at times to understand why these corporate people who benefit from pan, who benefit from carnival, who benefits from everything else as a carnival, cannot do what the gentleman has said there, have a pan fiesta. I remember the young boy growing up in San Fernando. You would have had Antillean All-Stars and Guinness Cavaliers and the rest of them playing on the promenade, well, not all at one point in time, but at frequent times. And we used to be enjoying it. It helped us to be what we are today, that I can sit here and talk to you. And I think the time has come where these big business people who rake in millions of banks included should at least give back something to the population. And the means of pan, whether it be the Queen's Park, Savannah, or the Skinner Park, or wherever it is, so that we can once more enjoy pan. Because Professor Fillmore, you remember when Guinness Cavaliers played, I think it was Ivy Klein music at the Queen's Hall.
66. I remember. Right.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Nestor, you were making the point.
Yeah, I was saying that we never had a policy that say, okay, this is a market. We're going to target this market. We're going to train people to prepare them. You know, tuners meant to teach. We're going to train them in the language of the possible market, you know? Because when I was in school, I had to do French and Spanish and all them kind of thing, but I didn't know I had to use that to think pan, you know? I just do that because they say do that in school, you know what I mean? And you will pass. You know, like how Amrit said, if you had known, you had to take Spanish more seriously.
Correct.
You know? But if we do it with that kind of intent, and we have to, the people who doing the marketing specialists then, who go in and who doing the kind of diplomatic kind of things, who verse in diplomacy, who could go into a country, talk to people, convince them, we have this group, we have this music, listen to this. Why we only don't bring a band here? Let us start a program in this place. You know, that's where football start. Somewhere in England, 209 countries playing football. How you feel that come about? By the British government saying down and letting footballers just go by themselves, and you, Bobby Charlton, you go here, and Jackie Charlton, you in this. And so they tell people that was part of the colonial legacy, that is part of the domination of the world. This is what we have. Teach them it. If they don't want to learn, beat them or some kind of thing. I ain't saying that is how we had to operate, but they had a policy towards promoting it globally. We don't have that here. It's fellas like Amrit, Professor, and other people who doing that. Jit and them fellas, they do that. Samaru just traveled so much countries.
A lot of people in our society very ignorant to the fact they really don't know how great the instrument is.
Gentlemen,
you know,
we've talked about and we've covered so many topics
I have
today,
a next
and there's so
example
many
to
things.
bring. I have a next example. Merrymakers in 1959 went on a tour to Europe. Some of the players stay out there. Alfred Cooper, he's one of the guys who stay out. He wrote a book. I had the opportunity to review the transcript. And he talked about a situation in the early 1960s. They're playing in Switzerland. A government minister was present in the audience. When he see the steel band thing and he hears a Trinidad steel band, he shame. He gone and sit down in the back. He didn't want that kind of embarrassment, steel band thing, vagabond thing, cutthroat. You know when the band started playing, the people started jump up and thing, he find himself out in front. He nearly waved the flag.
We're going to have to wrap on that one, and of course, maybe we'll have a part two. You never know, because
And let me
so
come
many...
back and talk, man. We ain't finished.
We never know. It's let we talk, and the talk will just continue and
yes.
continue. Amrit Samaru, thank you very much for joining us. Ken, Professor Fillmore, thank you very much. And Mr. Nestor Sullivan, thank you very much.
Yes,
it was a good one. Actually, just 1 hour and passed us so quickly. Not enough time.
No.
Maybe we'll get a part two.
only again, this is very, very important, not to ourselves alone and the Pan fraternity, but to the whole nation, the future of the country, and the future of the instrument. So I don't mind if I come back for a part two, really.
We'll see. I'll talk to those in authority. Gentlemen, thank you very much once again. My name is Mark Anthony. Join us next time right here on Let We Talk TV4.